It's a little blurry, that's okay. Find the inverse of the following functions algebraically. F of x is 5 over 2x plus 1. So steps 1, 2, and 4 are just symbolic. Step 3 is where the good stuff is at. So in step 1, instead of f of x, we write y. Nothing much going on there, like every episode of Jersey Shore. Step 2, we make all the x's y, all the y's x. So we'll have x equals 5 over 2y plus 1. Now comes the exciting part. Step 3, solve for y. Our y is currently in our denominator. How do we solve for y? Well, not multiply top and bottom, but multiply both sides by 2y plus 1. So if we multiply 2y plus 1 by both sides, on the left, distributing that x through, we'll get 2xy plus x. And on the right, the 2y plus 1s would cancel. We'll just have 5. This is now a lot nicer of an equation. How would we solve for y? Subtract x. And then divide by 2x. Remember, you're trying to keep the y solved for, so you divide everything else out. Remember, when solving for a variable, that variable cannot appear on the other side of the equation. It is just like when you're trying to define a word, you cannot use that word in the definition. So we have y equals something that does not contain a y. So in step 4, instead of our y, we now put f inverse of x is 5 minus x over 2x. To prove this is the answer, what you will have to do is you'll have to compose the original function with the inverse in both directions. If you do so, you should get x. I'll leave that up to you. You're welcome. Let's do part B. G of x is x squared minus 5, where x is less than or equal to 0. Why do we need that x less than or equal to 0? What would x squared minus 5 look like? Move down 5 units. Is that 1 to 1? No. So by saying x less than or equal to 5, less than or equal to 0, we're talking about these values. So if we only concern ourselves with this, is now that part 1 to 1? Yes. So we have a domain restriction to ensure that we're working with a 1-to-1 function, because if it's not 1-to-1, you cannot find its inverse, because it won't be a function. If you would, do your 4 steps carefully, very, very carefully, no pressure. Stop, hammer time, because I'm betting you're not copying down the domain restriction. We need that domain restriction for the third step especially. So step 1, replace the function name with y. Step 2, interchange your x's and y's, even in the domain restriction. Step 3, when we solve for y, how do we do that? Not square. Square roots. Well, when you take a square root in an equation, you shouldn't consider a plus or a minus, but since we have y less than or equal to 0, we want the minus. So minus square root of x plus 5 equals y. So again, since y is not non-positive, that's what this says here. When we go in to take our square root, include a negative. Step 4, what's step 4? Say my name, say my name. Huh? Yeah, G inverse. Our function's name is G, not F. There you go. Who knew that Beyonce was so into math? Got her to the left thing, saying my name. I don't know how Halo would work into any of this. It's a good song.